I still remember the exact moment my world shattered into a million pieces. I was lying in a hospital bed, my body still recovering from major surgery, when my fiancé Marcus walked in with that look on his face. You know, the look that says everything before a single word is spoken. "We need to talk," he said, not even sitting down in the chair beside my bed. Just 48 hours earlier, I had donated my kidney to his mother, Catherine. 48 hours. I could still feel the phantom ache where the surgeons had cut into me, still taste the metallic residue of anesthesia on my tongue. The bandages were fresh, the pain medication barely keeping the agony at bay. And here he was, standing at the foot of my hospital bed with his hands shoved deep in his pockets, unable to meet my eyes. "Marcus," I whispered, my voice hoarse from the breathing tube they'd only removed that morning. "What's wrong? Is it your mom? Did something happen during her surgery?" He shook his head, finally looking at me, and what I saw in his eyes wasn't concern or love or gratitude. It was guilt. Pure, unadulterated guilt. "Mom's fine. The surgery was successful. She's already responding well to the kidney." He paused, swallowing hard. "Emma, I can't do this anymore. I can't do us anymore." The words didn't register at first. They couldn't. They made no sense strung together in that order. Not after everything we'd been through. Not after what I just sacrificed for his family. "I don't understand," I managed to say, trying to sit up and immediately regretting it as pain shot through my abdomen. "What are you talking about?" "I've been seeing someone else," he said quickly, like ripping off a band-aid. "Her name is Vanessa. We met 6 months ago at a work conference and I've fallen in love with her." 6 months. 6 months he'd been cheating on me while I'd been going through pre-surgical testing, psychological evaluations, and countless medical appointments to ensure I could safely donate my kidney to his mother. 6 months of lies while I'd held his hand during his mother's dialysis appointments, while I'd assured him we'd get through this together, while I'd signed my name on dotted lines and agreed to undergo a major surgery that would leave me with one kidney for the rest of my life. "You're joking," I said, even though I knew he wasn't. "This is some kind of sick joke." "I'm sorry, Emma. I never meant for it to happen this way. I wanted to tell you before the surgery, but Mom said—" He stopped abruptly, his face going pale. "Your mother said what?" My voice was deadly quiet now. He looked away. "She said we shouldn't rock the boat until after the transplant. That you might back out if you knew." The betrayal hit me like a physical blow. Catherine had known. The woman whose life I had just saved had known her son was cheating on me, and had actively encouraged him to keep lying, so she could get my kidney. "Get out," I said. "Emma, please. Get out." I screamed and immediately regretted it as the movement sent waves of pain through my surgical site. A nurse rushed in, alarmed by the monitors beeping erratically. Marcus left without another word, and I broke down completely. The nurse tried to comfort me, tried to get me to calm down before I hurt myself, but how could I? I had just given away a part of my body to save the mother of a man who had been planning to leave me. I had sacrificed my health, my future, risked my life in surgery, all for people who had used me. The next few days were a blur of pain, both physical and emotional. My own family was furious when they found out. My mother wanted to sue. My brother wanted to physically confront Marcus. But I just felt numb, hollow, like the surgeons had taken more than just a kidney. They'd taken my ability to feel anything but betrayal. I was discharged on day 5, and my sister Rachel took me home to her place since I obviously couldn't go back to the apartment I'd shared with Marcus. Every movement hurt. Getting out of bed hurt. Breathing hurt. And worse than all of that was the knowledge that somewhere in this same hospital, Catherine was recovering beautifully with my kidney, probably being visited by her son and his new girlfriend. It was on day 7, as I was shuffling slowly to the bathroom, that I got the phone call that would change everything again. "Miss Emma Clark?" an unfamiliar voice asked. "Yes. This is Dr. Patricia Reeves from County General Hospital. I'm the head of our transplant ethics board. Would it be possible for you to come in for a meeting?" My heart sank. Is something wrong with the kidney? Did the transplant fail? No, nothing like that. But something has come to my attention that requires immediate discussion. It's rather urgent. Would tomorrow at 2 o'clock work for you? I agreed, confusion and dread mixing in my stomach. What could possibly require an ethics board meeting now? The surgery was done. The kidney was functioning. What else was there to discuss? Rachel drove me to the hospital the next day, helping me walk slowly through the corridors I'd been wheeled through just over a week ago. Dr. Reeves was a stern-looking woman in her late 50s with sharp eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. "Thank you for coming in, Miss Clark," she said, gesturing for me to sit. "I'll get right to the point." During a routine post-operative discussion with Catherine Morrison, she made several comments that deeply concerned our transplant coordinator. With the coordinator's permission, I reviewed the recording of that session. She turned her computer screen toward me and pressed play. Catherine's voice filled the room, weak but triumphant. "I can't believe we actually pulled it off. I was so worried she'd find out about Vanessa before the surgery. Thank God Marcus kept his mouth shut for once." The transplant coordinator's voice. "I'm sorry, Mrs. Morrison. I'm not sure I understand." Catherine. "Oh, you know how it is. Marcus wanted to break up with Emma months ago, but I told him he had to wait until after I got the kidney. Emma's not family. If they'd broken up, she never would have gone through with the donation. We had to keep her thinking they had a future together until it was too late for her to back out." There was more, but Dr. Reeves stopped the recording. My hands were shaking. "Miss Clark, what you're describing, and what Mrs. Morrison confirmed in this recording, constitutes medical fraud. You were deceived into believing you were donating to your future mother-in-law, a family member, when in fact the relationship was already over in everything but name. Both Mr. Morrison and Mrs. Morrison knowingly withheld material information that would have affected your decision to donate." I couldn't speak. I just stared at the frozen image of Catherine's hospital room on the screen. Dr. Reeves continued, her voice gentler now. "I want you to understand something very clearly. What was done to you was not only morally reprehensible, it was illegal. Informed consent is the cornerstone of organ donation. You cannot give informed consent if you're being actively deceived about fundamental facts." "But the surgery already happened," I said numbly. "I can't get my kidney back." "No, you can't. But there are consequences for this kind of fraud." She pulled out a thick folder. "I've already contacted our legal department, the Organ Procurement Organization, and the State Medical Board. The Morrisons could face criminal charges for fraud and conspiracy. They will certainly face civil liability. You have grounds for a substantial lawsuit for damages, both physical and emotional." "I don't want their money," I said quietly. I don't even know what I want." "You want justice," Dr. Reeves said firmly. "And you deserve it. But there's something else you need to know." She pulled out another set of papers. "After this came to light, we ran a comprehensive review of the entire transplant case. We found several irregularities. First, Catherine Morrison's insurance covered the transplant surgery, but curiously, several of the pre-surgical tests and evaluations for you were paid for out of pocket by Marcus Morrison. When our financial team looked into it, they found evidence that Marcus had been shopping around, so to speak." "Shopping around?" I repeated, confused. "He had approached 2 other women about donating to his mother before he approached you. Both declined. The financial records suggest he may have used your relationship, initiated or accelerated it, specifically to secure a kidney donor for his mother." The room started spinning. I gripped the arms of my chair, trying to process what she was telling me. "You're saying he started dating me just to get a kidney for his mother?" "We can't say that definitively without more evidence, but the timeline is certainly suspicious. He began dating you just 2 months after his mother was placed on the transplant waiting list. He moved the relationship very quickly. You were living together within 4 months, engaged within 7. And he began discussing his mother's kidney disease with you almost immediately. I thought back to our relationship. He'd been so attentive, so loving, so perfect. He'd said all the right things, made all the right gestures. And yes, he told me about his mother's illness on our 3rd date. At the time, I thought it showed how much he trusted me, how deep our connection was. Now I saw it for what it really was: grooming, preparation, manipulation. "There's one more thing," Dr. Reeves said quietly. "We ran a compatibility check between Catherine Morrison and the other family members. Her other son, David, is a perfect match. Better than you, actually. He was tested 2 years ago." The words hung in the air like a death sentence. "Why didn't he donate?" I whispered. According to his medical file, he was willing. But there's a note from Catherine Morrison herself requesting that David not be approached as a donor. She wanted to preserve his health for his children. So not only had they used me, manipulated me, lied to me, they had done so when there was a perfectly viable family donor available. They had put me through surgery, risked my life, taken my kidney, all because Catherine wanted to protect her favorite son while sacrificing the woman she saw as disposable. I started crying then, really crying for the first time since the surgery. Not the numb, shocked tears I'd shed in the hospital bed when Marcus left me, but deep, racking sobs that hurt my healing incision and made breathing almost impossible. Rachel burst into the room, having been waiting outside, and held me while I fell apart. When I could finally speak again, I looked at Dr. Reeves. What happens now? Now you decide what you want to do. I can connect you with our legal team. The hospital is fully cooperating with any investigation. We've also flagged the Morrisons in the National Transplant Database. They won't be able to pull this kind of deception again. Will Catherine lose the kidney? Dr. Reeves shook her head. No. As much as what she did was wrong, we can't reverse the transplant. But she may face criminal charges, and she will certainly face the consequences in civil court if you choose to pursue that route. I went home that day with more information than I knew what to do with and a decision to make. Rachel wanted me to pursue every legal avenue available. My parents flew in from Florida and agreed. But I felt paralyzed, stuck between my anger and the exhaustion of just trying to heal. It was 3 days later when everything came to a head in the most unexpected way. I was at Rachel's apartment, slowly walking laps around her living room as part of my physical therapy, when there was a frantic knocking at the door. Rachel answered it to find Marcus standing there, looking absolutely destroyed. I need to talk to Emma, he said desperately. Please. It's about my mother. You have some nerve showing up here, Rachel snarled, but I waved her off. It's fine. Let him in. Marcus looked terrible. His hair was uncombed, his eyes were red and swollen, and he looked like he hadn't slept in days. What do you want, Marcus? I asked coldly. I'm sorry, he said immediately. I'm so sorry. For all of it. You were right to hate me. I hate myself. Is that all? I asked. Because if you came here for absolution, you're not getting it. No, He ran his hands through his hair desperately. Something's wrong with my mother. The doctors say the kidney is failing. They don't know why. She's getting sicker, and they're talking about removing it and his voice broke. I know I have no right to ask you for anything, but I'm begging you. Please talk to them. Tell them you don't want to press charges. Tell them to focus on saving her instead of investigating. I stared at him in disbelief. You want me to drop the ethics investigation so the doctors will focus on your mother? She's dying, Emma. Whatever she did, she doesn't deserve to die. I almost died on that operating table, I shouted back, then immediately regretted it as pain flared through my abdomen. I gave up a part of my body for her, I risked my life, and she used me like I was nothing. And you? I had to stop and breathe. You lied to me for months. You made me fall in love with you just to harvest my organs for your mother like I was some kind of commodity. That's not true, he said weakly. I did love you. I do love you. Then why are you with Vanessa? I asked. Why did you leave me 48 hours after I got out of surgery? He couldn't answer that. We both knew why. Because I was no longer useful. The kidney had been secured, the surgery was complete, and he was free to move on to the woman he actually wanted. Get out, I said quietly. And don't come back. Emma, please. Get out. He left and I immediately called Dr. Reeves. She assured me that the investigation had nothing to do with Catherine's medical care. The doctors treating her were completely separate from the ethics board. But she also gave me some information that changed my perspective on everything. Miss Clark, I probably shouldn't tell you this, but I think you deserve to know. Catherine Morrison's kidney is failing because she's not taking her anti-rejection medications properly. She's been skipping doses, not following the dietary restrictions, even drinking alcohol against medical advice. When confronted, she said she didn't think it would matter. The woman had manipulated me, used me, taken my kidney, and now she was destroying it through her own negligence. I made my decision that night. I was going to pursue every legal avenue available. I was going to make sure the world knew what the Morrisons had done. Not for revenge, though I'd be lying if I said that wasn't part of it, but because no one else should ever have to go through what I went through. The lawsuit took 18 months. During that time, Catherine's kidney failed completely, and she was placed back on dialysis. Her other son David finally donated his kidney to her, the one she'd refused to accept in the first place to preserve his health. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. Marcus and Vanessa got married in a small ceremony. I heard about it through mutual friends and felt nothing. Whatever love I'd had for him had died in that hospital room when he'd chosen to break my heart, while I was at my most vulnerable. The court ruled in my favor. The Morrisons were ordered to pay substantial damages for fraud, emotional distress, and the lifelong medical implications of being a living donor under false pretenses. Catherine was charged with medical fraud, a felony, though she ultimately took a plea deal that included probation and community service. Marcus wasn't charged criminally, but his reputation was destroyed. His employer let him go quietly, and Vanessa left him shortly after, apparently not interested in being married to a man with massive debt and no job. But the money didn't fix anything. It couldn't give me back my kidney, couldn't undo the betrayal, couldn't erase the trauma of what they'd done to me. I still woke up sometimes feeling phantom pain where my kidney used to be. I still had moments of rage so intense I had to pull over while driving to scream into my steering wheel. I still had trust issues that made dating nearly impossible. What did help was something Dr. Reeves had mentioned during one of our final meetings. There I met others who understood. People who donated and then had relationships fall apart. People who'd been pressured into donating. People who regretted their choice. People who didn't regret the donation but struggled with the aftermath. We shared our stories, our pain, our healing. And slowly, very slowly, I started to heal too. It's been 3 years now since the surgery. I'm not the same person I was before. That naive, trusting woman who would have done anything for love is gone. But maybe that's not entirely a bad thing. I'm stronger now, more cautious, but also more certain of my own worth. I eventually moved across the country for a fresh start. I work as an advocate now, helping educate people about living donation and the importance of protecting donors. I speak at medical conferences about what happened to me, using my story to push for better safeguards and protocols. Dr. Reeves has become a mentor and friend. I even started dating again, though I'm taking it much slower this time. His name is James and he knows my whole story. He knows about the scar on my abdomen, about the nightmares I sometimes still have, about my trust issues. And he's patient with all of it. Last month, I ran into Marcus at a coffee shop back in my old neighborhood while visiting Rachel. He looked older, worn down by life in a way that had nothing to do with years and everything to do with consequences. He started to approach me, but I held up a hand to stop him. "I don't want to talk," I said simply. "I just wanted to say I'm sorry," he said quietly. "For everything. You deserved so much better." "Yes," I agreed. "I did." And then I walked away, and it felt like closing a chapter that had stayed open far too long. Sometimes people ask me if I regret donating the kidney, knowing what I know now. It's a complicated question. I regret being deceived. I regret trusting people who didn't deserve it. I regret the pain and trauma of the betrayal. But the kidney itself? That's harder to answer. A part of me is out there, keeping someone alive, even if that someone is a person who used me. There's something both beautiful and tragic about that. It's a permanent reminder of my capacity for love and sacrifice, but also a scar that will never fully heal. What I don't regret is fighting back. I don't regret pursuing justice, speaking my truth, and refusing to let what they did to me be swept under the rug. I don't regret becoming an advocate and using my pain to potentially protect others. The Morrisons taught me a hard lesson about the darkness that can hide in human hearts, about how people will use and manipulate others for their own benefit without a second thought. But my healing journey taught me something more important. That trauma doesn't have to define you, that betrayal doesn't have to break you, and that sometimes the greatest act of love isn't sacrificing yourself for others. It's fighting to protect yourself and others from those who would take advantage of such love. I'm not a victim anymore. I'm a survivor. And that's something no one can ever take from me, not even with surgery. If you've made it this far in my story, thank you for listening. Thank you for witnessing what happened to me and understanding why I fought back. I'm sharing this story on YouTube because I want people to know that this kind of manipulation and betrayal really happens. Living organ donation is an incredible gift, one of the most selfless things a person can do, but it should never be taken advantage of. Donors deserve respect, honesty, and protection. People who were deceived about relationships or family dynamics. People who gave parts of themselves to others who didn't deserve such sacrifice. Each story breaks my heart, but each one also reminds me why speaking up matters. The medical community has started making changes because of cases like mine. There are now stricter protocols for evaluating the relationships between donors and recipients. Ethics boards are asking harder questions. Psychological evaluations dig deeper into potential coercion or manipulation. It's not perfect, but it's progress. As for me, I'm doing better than I ever thought possible 3 years ago. James and I are still together. We actually just moved in together last month, and this time I took it slow, made sure I really knew who he was before making any big commitments. He's met my family, I've met his, and there are no secrets between us. It's what a real relationship should feel like. I still have physical limitations from the surgery. I have to be more careful about my remaining kidney, watch my blood pressure, avoid certain medications. I can't do contact sports or anything that might risk injuring my remaining kidney. Sometimes I resent these limitations, especially when I'm reminded that Catherine destroyed the kidney I gave her through her own negligence and now lives with one from her son, the son she should have accepted as a donor in the first place. But I've also found purpose in this pain. I've helped pass local legislation requiring independent donor advocates in transplant cases. I've spoken at 3 medical conferences this year alone. I've counseled other donors through difficult situations. My pain has become a tool to protect others, and there's power in that. Marcus sent me a letter last year. I almost threw it away without reading it, but curiosity got the better of me. In it, he admitted that he'd started dating me specifically because I was his mother's blood type. He said Vanessa had been someone he genuinely connected with, and the guilt of having real feelings for someone else while using me had eaten him alive. He said he was a coward for not ending things before the surgery, but his mother had begged him not to, had cried and told him she didn't want to die, that they were so close to saving her life and he couldn't ruin it now. He wrote that he thinks about me every day, that he knows he destroyed something precious, that he understands if I never forgive him, because he's never forgiven himself. He said his marriage fell apart because Vanessa eventually couldn't live with what they'd done to me, with being the other woman in such a horrific situation. He said he's alone now and he deserves to be. I never wrote back. There was nothing to say. No words from him could undo what was done, and I didn't owe him forgiveness or closure or anything else. Catherine tried to contact me too through her lawyer, asking me to make a public statement that I didn't hold any ill will toward her, that I'd wanted to donate regardless of the circumstances. I refused. I won't help her rehabilitate her image or ease her conscience. She made her choices and she has to live with the consequences. The last I heard, she was still on dialysis with David's kidney, though her body tried to reject it at first due to her poor compliance with medical protocols. David apparently had to have a serious conversation with her about respecting the gift he'd given her. I hope she listened. I hope she takes care of his kidney better than she took care of mine. As for the money from the lawsuit, I donated a significant portion to organizations that support living donors and advocate for donor rights. The rest helped me start over, pay for therapy, and build a new life. Blood money in a way, but I decided to use it for good. Thank you for watching my story. Thank you for caring.